As I talk about this video, let me just paint a picture for you real quick. The year is 2006, 2010. You're on a Fast and Furious movie binge. You've watched Fast and the Furious.
Dude, I almost had you.
You almost had me. You never had me. You never had your car.
Too Fast, Too Furious. Tokyo Drift even.
Easy to sound cocky when you got no ride. Take mine. Let's race.
You know what DK stands for? Donkey Kong. Drift King.
These cars here only factory tuned. You can do better than 180K, they can't catch you.
Now whichever one is your favorite, that's up to you. But you've witnessed all these cars. Iconic, the R34 GTR Skyline. The 98 Toyota Supra. The S14, the Mazda RX-7. Or maybe, let's say, not even the Fast and the Furious franchise. Maybe you're playing one of your favorite video games, Midnight Club Dub Edition Remix. Or even more iconic than that, Need for Speed Underground 2, which has completely influenced the car scene in the early 2000s. Everyone's build had to have underglow, decals, body kits. I think which really branched off of the Fast and the Furious timeline. It was a good outlet to get introduced to pristine JDM cars that we love today. So you've seen all these legendary JDM cars, and maybe now you're my age where you finally turned 21 and you've got a decent job to finally be able to purchase one of your dream cars like the S14 Sylvia behind me. Or maybe you're wondering how to get into JDM. Maybe you're wondering, how can I get one? What even is JDM? Maybe you don't know anything at all. Well, I'm here to tell you today what the Japanese domestic market is and why the Japanese domestic market is horrible today. But before I get into that, welcome back to the channel. If you guys like this content, please leave a like and a comment, and even subscribe if you feel like watching more videos like this or some of my past videos with me and my S14. But without further ado, let's dive right back into this video. So the term JDM actually stands for Japanese Domestic Market. That means cars and parts for these cars that are manufactured in Japan and built in Japan, sold in Japan. These cars are right-hand drive. Some of these cars have a legacy that is long sought after in the car community to be able to get your hands on one of these cars. I think JDM branches out. It goes even farther than that. When it comes to the roots of the car scene, if you don't know, do your research on these cars like the Toyota Supra, which is triumphant with its 2JZ motor that everyone knows and loves. Then you have your Skylines like the R32, R33, and R34, which all have crazy legacies when it comes to the track events that were completely dominating the scene at their point in time. Also with the iconic RB26 motor. Then, like myself, who owns an S14, these are iconic for their SR20 DET motors and very popular in the drift scene. And how could I forget the Mazda RX-7 with its iconic rotary motor that everyone knows and loves, with that rapping tune to it. Everyone knows. I think JDM runs deeper than just the name alone. I think, like I said, people have grown up with these cars. They are very iconic and they hold sentimental value to some people. With that being said, on what JDM is, let me tell you 5 reasons why the Japanese domestic market sucks right now. First and foremost, the most probably obvious reason to anyone that knows about JDM and importing them is definitely the price of these cars, which is so unfortunate. If you're like me, or if you're younger than me, finally growing up to being able to at least buy one of these cars or have a job decent enough is now becoming almost another pipeline dream, because these cars are getting so expensive. Obviously, I'm such a cliche. One of my dream cars is an R34 GTR Skyline, but unfortunately, I don't have over $150,000 to cough up on one of those cars. I would love them. I would love one. But the way the import scene is marking up these cars is truly devastating. You know, it's sad that, you know, a lot of people would love to enjoy these cars, or a lot of people haven't had the chance to enjoy these cars, and maybe they never will now because of the markup on these cars. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, I've heard so many stories. Maybe 5-10 years ago, you'd be able to pick up an S14 or at least a 240SX maybe for $1,000, $2,000, a couple $1,000. Now in today's market, let's say you could get a clean S14 for $4,000. Maybe a decade ago, 5 years ago, I paid $14,000 for this S14. That is over 300% markup on just an S14 alone. Now, when you compare prices like the R34 Skyline like this to this, you can see that markup has gone through the roof. And that is because these cars are collector's edition cars. People love these cars because of how iconic they are, because of how good these engines are, and maybe because of status. It's such a popular car, and it was such a triumphant car, notorious car back in its time. Now that people have a chance to buy them, or now that they're getting more popular, they're just getting more hard to get your hands on. With that being said, I do believe that is probably the #1 reason why you should not buy a JDM car, why I think the Japanese domestic market is terrible right now. Moving on to #2 for reasons why the Japanese domestic market sucks, or why not to buy a JDM car, is the reliability of these cars. Now, you gotta understand one thing. When it comes to JDM cars, they are manufactured overseas. So the USA has an import law in place that you cannot import a car that is under 25 years old. So in order to import a JDM car, it needs to be at least 25 years old. My Nissan Silvia is from 94, rough, I think that's 26, 27 years old. So obviously just eligible for import. But that's not the point here. The point I'm trying to make is these cars may sit around in Japan or wherever they're sitting for over 25 years plus. If you look at examples like this and this, a lot of these cars can just sit out in Japan or sit out wherever they are, collecting rust, not being used, the fluids are just sitting there, or if they are being used, you know, they're being slammed, drifted, tracked, and that's what cars are for. But after 25 years, it's such a long time. Think about 25 years from now. I'll be 40, 45, 46, and imagine the change that I'll have, let alone this car. So it's not to say that all JDM cars are bad or they're unreliable, but you just got to be careful on what you're looking out for. A lot of people, especially in the import scene, you know, can get one over if you don't know what you're looking for. I've heard a lot of stories where people from the stateside are trying to import a JDM car, but they're not there in person. They don't know, they can't expect anything. So unless you have a middleman to go out to Japan and look at all the issues that they may have, all the flaws that these cars may have, you think you might be buying the most pristine S14 ever, but you really could just be getting a hunk of crap, and you know, that's really unfortunate. So I do think reliability is a big thing, but as long as you're smart, you know what you're looking for, you have a middleman possibly, and you take good care of these cars, then you'll be just fine, I promise. Moving on to #3, which kind of ties in with #2, I talked about it a little bit, is the rust. Like I said, a lot of these cars just kind of sit out in Japan, and Japan is pretty much a huge island, is what it is, and a lot of rust can be happening. If you don't have a middleman, I suggest you buy maybe from import companies like Top Rank, where I've got my S14 from, or a lot of other reputable import dealerships that I can just list a few here, here, and here. That way it'll give you the opportunity to go in person to actually look at these cars, inspect these cars. Rust is a huge issue. I've seen cars that have like holes in the floor panels, like it's insane, you wouldn't even believe it. So I know 3 kind of tied in with number 2, but rust. Watch out for it because it'll sneak up on you. It'll get you. Now, number 4, why the Japanese domestic market sucks or you shouldn't buy a JDM is parts. I'll be honest, parts. I own an S14, thankfully. The 240SX was also produced in the US, so they have some compatibility, but not everything. If you want to stay true JDM, it's hard to get all these maybe like Nismo parts or Skyline parts. I'm in a group chat with the Right Hand Drive group of Las Vegas, and I can't tell you how many times those Skyline guys are on the desperate hunt for parts just because it's hard to find them over here in the US, and even over there in Japan it's been 25 plus years. So it's not like these people are just still trying to manufacture these cars when not everyone has one. So it's really hard to get your hands on parts. Right now I've got one of my headlights are out, and these are headlight bulbs from Japan. So I think one of them I can get here, but with the other one, I've actually been having a little bit of a hard time trying to find the bulb. I think I did find it, but that just goes to show that I'm having a hard time just finding a headlight bulb in itself, only because Japan has different headlight laws. Like anything else, do your research. Car parts are hard to come by, especially for the JDM market. These cars are 25 plus years old. No one's just manufacturing parts like that for them anymore. It's not the hardest thing. It's not to say that you can't at all, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna just take a little bit more research. Anything plastic or brittle in these cars, it sounds crazy, but it's really hard to come by. So people like to jump on the opportunity when it presents itself if there's anything out there for these cars. So if you do have a JDM or you plan on getting a JDM, take care of it. Try not to break anything, because I promise you, car parts for these cars are not that easy to come by. And number 5, why I think you shouldn't buy a JDM, why I think the Japanese domestic market sucks, is really to bring the market back.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I know it sounds crazy, it's so far-fetched and bizarre, but think about it. Just think about it. If everyone that wanted a JDM car would put it to these importers and all band together and just went on a cold streak of buying these JDM cars, the market would fall. I mean, I'm not the best when it comes to stocks or anything, but I'm pretty sure if people aren't buying this product, those stocks dip. The market dips, making them cheaper. So if everyone were to band together, not buy these cars, not support any of these, import dealerships, in the long run, the prices for these cars would fall. People have inventory that they need to get rid of, and I know it's far-fetched. I'm just kind of thinking outside the box here, because if the market did fall, I'd love to hop back in on it when it's at its lowest, obviously, by the dip, right, to the moon. If you keep them in good condition, they can be an investment. These cars can definitely be an investment. Kind of relating back to number 1, I bought my S14 for $14,000. But I've seen them upwards of $19,000, $20,000 lately. So these cars are only going up in value, but that's only because they're so sought after. So if we were to reverse that and bring the market back down and buy the dips, then you bet we can make JDMs more affordable for everyone. I think everyone deserves a JDM, but I'm just dreaming here, just trying to think outside the box. With all that being said, I love JDM cars. I would love to have an abundance of JDM cars like Adam LZ or something, or Eliminate, but don't take this video too serious. If you love JDM cars, if you really want it, then you can go out there and you can make it happen. I promise you, you can make it happen. Anything's possible as long as you put your mind to it and you don't let anyone tell you no. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. I'm eager to own as many JDM cars as I can, and I promise you I will make it happen. Just look back at this video 10 years from now, and I promise you I'll make it happen. Don't let the love for JDM cars die down. Relive your Fast and the Furious days, relive your Midnight Club days, relive your Need for Speed Underground 2 days. Honestly, I've been playing Midnight Club all the time. So if these are cars that you enjoy, then make it happen. I promise you can make it happen. But that's enough of me rambling. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, don't take it too serious. Please don't forget to hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you like more content like this, and leave a comment so that way I know what you guys want to see in future videos. Oh, and by the way, merch is down in the link below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.